So coming up next is Dennis Schroader. So Dennis, where are you at? Coming into
Coming
the
into the
house.
coming into the house.
There you
Hello,
go.
Brian. Thanks for having me. Dr. Ken Smiley was the one who introduced me and invited me to the program. Glad to be here today.
Yeah, likewise. It's really great to see you. And I see a little army pin there. Was that
Yes.
accidentally put on your suit, or you meant to put an Air Force pin there, right?
No, it's an Army pin. I spent a total of 24 years in the Army, but
Wow.
my first love was the Navy because my father was in the Navy. All of my uncles served in the Navy in World War II.
Oh wow.
Um, I had a grandfather on my mother's side who served in the Army in World War One. So I came from a family with a long, long history of military service. But no, I really wanted the Navy, and I was going ROTC because my father said getting great grades in high school. You should try to become an officer, have a better life. And I did. I applied to Navy and the Army. I knew the Air Force wouldn't take me because I didn't have a 4.0 GPA, but the Navy came back and said, "Well, you have slightly defective color vision, therefore we'll give you a scholarship, but you must be a Marine." And
Oh,
that was back in 1974. That was not what either my father nor I had envisioned. So I took the Army's offer, and you know, it was a long uh, up and down career throughout those years. But I went through ROTC, became a medical service corps officer, uh, got my commission in June of 1978, served in both active duty and reserve component capacities and active guard reserve up until the year 2000. Was essentially forced to retire because of the policies that the Army Reserve had at that time. And 11 years later was asked to come back and did a 2-year retiree recall at Fort Knox from 2011 to 2013. Um, uh, uh, One of my very best friends in the Army was a speaker earlier today, Colonel Randy Schwally, and he was
yeah.
the man who brought me back onto active duty. And I had been his mentor prior to my retirement, and he said that the hardest thing, he had basically became full colonel, and I had remained as a lieutenant colonel. And he said one of the hardest things about that period of time was me having to salute him and call him sir. Can you imagine that if you
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
if your mentor in the military
Ken,
had to
Ken
do
makes me salute him every day, so I completely understand.
that?
So I'm going to give you the spotlight, and if you want to talk a little bit about how you're serving, a little bit more about you, and what does patriotism mean to
Sure.
you? And I'll
Oh,
come back in
absolutely.
about 8 minutes.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, to me, I I grew up in a family that was living what I consider to be a patriotic life, and that is, to me, patriotism is a love for your country. It's a love for not just the ideals of the nation, its history, its traditions, but it's also for the people. I've had heard lots of other speakers say something similar. I think it's a willingness to go beyond self and to serve a cause greater than your own. Uh, Patriotism means being willing to lay down your life if you need to in that for that cause. And the background that I chose here today represents just that ultimate price that many people have paid over the years. And basically, what I'm doing currently that I believe is serving the families of the fallen. Uh, when a soldier, airman, sailor, marine dies, yes, we have the ceremonies. Yes, we provide the flag. Yes, we sometimes honor them through other means, naming bridges, streets, etc., after them. But eventually that memory fades away, and it really doesn't tell the entire story. Those families that have lost someone, that hole is never going to completely go away. And it really bothered me over the years that that was the case. And I was encouraged and challenged at the same time. Sometime during the Gulf War or post 9/11 era, rather, and when I saw uh, magazines like GQ and Esquire give positive stories about people who had served and who lost their life in the service, it just bothered me that there were so many others that never got that. And so what I've been doing for the last 6 years is running a nonprofit organization called the Price of Freedom Foundation. And the purpose of this is to research, write, and tell the complete life stories of those who died while in military service or subsequent to that. We have one story that we're in the early stages of researching where a soldier was served 8 years on active duty, was medically retired, and died a couple of years later from the medications that he was on for that medical condition. All of those cases are ones where that family has suffered a loss. All of those people, those are real people. They had very complex lives. They weren't just a soldier. They weren't just a sailor. They weren't just an airman. Their their lives were much more than that. And so what we do is we try to the best of our ability to tell the complete story from beginning to end, finding as many people and as many resources as we can to fill in the details about what they were like as a child. What sort of things did they do well at? What things were challenging for them? What things inspired them? How did other people influence their lives, and how did they influence others? We look for people that knew them in all of these different phases and aspects of their life, and uh, we write a complete story. So basically, this is our first book. This is not going to show up very well. There it is. That's called Silent Soul. It's a story of a sailor who was served 18 and a half years in the U.S. Navy and was lost at sea. And it goes back to talk about all of him, not just that little clip that I just gave. And every family, I think, deserves that. Every family deserves to be able to capture that. No one no one in that survivor family has the complete story. If you think about it, the only person who knows your complete story is you. And if you're gone and we're trying to piece your story together, it takes a lot of work. There's a lot of people we need to talk to, a lot of resources we need to bring together to tell the complete story. I believe that those families and the generations to come should have that. They shouldn't have to go and uh, piece it together. Ancestry.com is a great resource, but if we can do this, why not do this? Why not prevent them from having to go to that kind of trouble to do this? We also want to tell their stories in a way that's going to reach a wider audience than that family can reach, and that means telling it through video. We don't have the resources to do that just yet. But in our research, we record every interview that we do so that when we do have those resources, we can put these stories on in documentary form and reach a much wider audience. That's how I'm serving currently, and how I intend to serve the rest of my years that I'm capable of.
That's amazing. Really appreciate the dignified way in which you're still serving others even when they're no longer with us. I could never do that. I like mortuary affairs. I would have been crying every single day. I
Yeah.
don't know how people can do that. Thank them, but that would be too hard for me. Um,
There's tears in many times when we're doing the interviews, and that's okay. I mean, I guess my degrees are in psychology and counseling, so it's like I'm predisposed, I guess, to being able to and being willing to be someone who listens to them empathically. But there's actually a catharsis that happens for the veterans that are talking about their buddies that passed, and I'm definitely wanting veterans that had their friends who died in service be able to pay tribute to them. So, they can reach out to us as well, and we'll put something together for that too. So,
That's amazing.
um, it's
Thank you,
something
Dennis.
that is definitely is a passion for me. It wasn't something that I came out of the blocks thinking I'm going to do. In fact, I was argued. I'm a man of faith, so I had these arguments with God for months and months and months, and it's like, okay, no, I don't have the experience doing this. No, I don't. I'm not a writer. I'm not a, never ran a nonprofit before, never did this, that, or the other thing. And yet it was okay. Well, I'd been using the excuse of time, and the job that I have went away, and had it went away. And so now there went my excuse about time. Now it's like, okay, well,
So
I'm just going to
I'm
go out and do
shocked
everything
that
I
you don't
can.
have a
And the
book.
others, I'm sorry.
I'm shocked that you don't have a book, especially
We
knowing
do have a
Ken.
book.
Oh, you
We
do.
have
Oh,
this is our first story. We
oh,
produced
together.
a
Okay,
single book for each individual. So we are currently researching a handful of others, but this is part one of two parts that we
gotcha.
promised these families that we would do. The book is for that we present to them. In fact, we did a presentation a year ago, August, on the deck of the USS Midway to that family. He had served on that ship twice during his career in the Navy, and it was just very meaningful and a very powerful time to be able to present this and give this to that family. We don't charge families anything for this.
That's awesome. So how does somebody get a hold of you? You have all this, you know, amazing information. So what's their next step to reach you?
Our website is www.priceoffreedomfoundation.org. You can write to me or to my handful of volunteers, info@priceoffreedomfoundation.org. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube under the Price of Freedom Foundation. And we'd be happy to chat with you. Anybody that wants to know more about us, wants to join the cause, wants to sponsor us, we could definitely use some help with all of that.
That's amazing. All right. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for your time and for supporting us today. It's
Brian, thank you.
your contribution is making this day all the more powerful. So
I
thank you.
appreciate that. Before we go, I do want to thank you for the segment you did just before you brought me on for women veterans. I was a medical service corps officer. At least half of the soldiers that I served with during my time in the Army were women, and superb soldiers, and too few of them are active in veterans organizations, in my opinion. So I have a
I
daughter
agree.
who served as well, so definitely glad that you're providing that information for them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.